I feel bad that I moved into a nursing home when I was 82, but I have learned a lot from my time there. It looked like the best choice at the time. The people who were closest to me told me they would give me the comfort and support I needed. It seemed like they were telling the truth, but when I got there, it was totally different. Most likely, a lot of you are thinking about this choice, either for yourself or someone you care about. You might feel like it's the safest choice because you've heard it will make your life simpler. Before you do that, though, let me tell you 6 things I wish someone had told me before I moved in. Due to the fact that moving into a nursing home changes your life in every way, and leaving isn't as easy as you might think. If you wait until the end, I might teach you something that will surprise you. You should show this video to anyone you know who is thinking about going to a nursing home because it could change their life. If you don't already, subscribe and hit the bell button before we start. That way you won't miss a video. Is this video something you like? Please leave a comment if so. You can type 0 in the comments to let me know you don't like it. It will help me make videos for you that are better. We can begin now. I really feel bad about giving up my freedom. The most surprising thing about moving into a nursing home wasn't the small rooms, the strict meal times, or the strange people I met. That's when I knew I couldn't change my life anymore. I had habits before I moved in. This was my day. I chose when to wake up, eat, and do things. I had the freedom to take walks, cook my own meals, and read a book in my favorite chair whenever I pleased. But as soon as I walked into the nursing home, I knew it was time for me to leave. It wasn't my job to make the plans for everything. No matter if I was hungry or not, I had to eat breakfast at a certain time. I didn't want to sleep, but I had to get ready for bed at the right time. Would you like to walk around? You might need to get permission from someone or wait until they're free before you can ask for help. Selecting what to eat or wear began to feel more like a bonus than a normal choice. I started to feel like I wasn't sleeping in my own bed after the first week. When I looked around, I saw that I wasn't at home. I got up, stretched, and then went to get the book I was reading at home. Everything I had gathered over the years was gone, including my favorite chair, books, and other things I had owned. I could only feel a lack of control over my life, a bed I couldn't choose, and walls that needed to be cleaned. I was no longer in charge of my life. That you think of, which one was the hardest? Being aware that it's tough to regain your freedom once you let it go. Adaptation is important. When they tell you what's for dinner, they're done. It is impolite to ask if you can go around whenever you like. You might start to lose touch with who you are as you get used to how they do things. Before you decide to go to a nursing home, ask yourself if you can live without the things that make your life special. You will miss them more than you thought possible after they leave. Feeling forgotten is the second regret. Being in a nursing home is hard because you have to face the fact that the world keeps going on without you. My family told me they would come see me often when I first got here. When they first told me, I did believe them. My daughter came by once a week, and my grandchildren came over on the weekends. For a short time, I felt like I was still connected to my old life. Some visits did happen more often at first, but not as often as before. This time, my daughter called instead of coming. My grandchildren had a lot to do with work and school. It was the hardest during the holidays. It seemed like everyone said they'd come, but plans always changed at the last minute. Suddenly, I was sitting alone in a common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping that today would be the day someone remembered them. Friends and family still loved me, but life got in the way. People might think you're okay, that you're getting used to things, or that you don't need as much attention when you're not around every day. But the truth is that people forget how much you need them more the longer you stay in a nursing home. One evening, I was in my room with my phone in my hand, not sure if I should call my son. I did not want to be a bother. I didn't want to keep telling him I was here, waiting for a visit that might never come. When I put down the phone, it hit me. This was my life now, watching the days go by and hoping someone would remember to put me in their plans. If you want to move into a nursing home, you should ask yourself if you can handle being alone, because it's easier than you think to forget about your family once you're not around. But they love you. Third thing I regret is losing my sense of purpose. At first, I thought I was just moving because I moved into a nursing home. I had no idea that I was also changing why I lived. At home, I had things to do. I had habits, things I liked to do, and a reason to get up every day. Taking care of the plants, making my own coffee, and cleaning up my space were all small things that gave me a sense of purpose. But those daily habits stopped when they moved into the nursing home. I didn't have to take care of the plants or cook the meals. Other people did those things for me. At first, I told myself it would be nice to finally take it easy. No more work, no more chores, just rest. I knew something was missing after a few weeks, though. It felt like there was nothing to do but wait for days on end. It was also in other people who lived there. People who used to be very active now just sat there and stared while they waited for time to pass. George was an 84-year-old man who had worked as a carpenter all his life. He fixed things and worked on small projects in his garage all the time at home. But there were no projects, tools, or other things for him to make here. I watched as he slowly moved away. His hands, which had been strong and skilled, were now laid down in his lap. He told me one day, "I feel useless," and I knew exactly what he meant. There is no point in living when you don't have anything to care about or work toward. Your body and mind both slow down, and soon you feel like you're just another person living in a place where time goes by, but nothing really changes. If you're thinking about going to a nursing home, ask yourself what makes your life worth living. You have to fight to hold on to the things that make you feel alive once you move in. Finding purpose isn't just about filling your time. 4. My health is getting worse faster than I thought it would. I was in good health for my age before I moved into a nursing home. Even though I wasn't running marathons, I could still cook my own meals, take care of myself, and go for walks. Little things like going grocery shopping, stretching in the morning, and even just walking around the house to keep my legs strong kept me moving. Things changed when I moved in, though. It looked like I was just taking it easy at first. I didn't have to stand in the kitchen to cook anymore because meals were brought to me. I could press a button and someone would come help me if I needed it, but I didn't know that the less I took care of myself, the worse I got. My legs started to feel stiffer after I stopped moving around as much. It became easy to feel like a chore to get up from a chair after sitting for longer periods of time. It was happening faster than I thought. The muscles I had worked out for years were going away. It wasn't just me. Other people also saw it happen. People who used to be able to walk in on their own were now using wheelchairs. People who used to be able to do things on their own now needed help with things they never had a problem with before. It looked like we needed more help the more we got it. Alice was my neighbor. She was 81 years old and very active when she first moved in. Every day she would walk around the building and say she wasn't going to slow down because of a number. I saw that she wasn't walking as much after a few months, though. After that, she used a walker and then a wheelchair. She looked at me one day and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I've aged 10 years in just a few months." And she was right. People start losing their bodies when they don't use them. It's easy to forget that moving isn't just for convenience in a nursing home, where everything is made to make things easier. I would have pushed myself more to stay active and move even when I didn't feel like it if I knew how quickly I would lose my strength. When thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself if you will still want to keep your body strong if everything is set up to make life easy. It's not as easy as you think to get back up after slowing down. The loss of privacy and dignity is the fifth thing I regret. How much privacy I would lose was something I didn't fully think about before I moved into a nursing home. I had my own space at home. I could shut the door to my bedroom and be alone if I chose to. I could do what I pleased. But when you live in a nursing home, you don't always get to keep your privacy. I felt like I was always being watched from the moment I got there. There were staff coming and going, room checks on a regular basis, and shared areas where you're rarely by yourself. People often needed help with even the most basic things, like getting dressed or going to the bathroom. I understand that they were just doing their job, but it's hard to ask for help with things you've always done on your own. I remember having a hard time with the idea that I had to ask for permission to do things I used to do without thinking. Do you want to shower? You might have to wait until someone can help you. Need to go to the bathroom? When you press the call button, you might have to wait longer than you'd like. There weren't many meal options either. It's too bad if you don't like what's on the menu that day. Then there was the matter of having roommates. You might not get your own room, and it can be annoying to share a space with someone you didn't choose. It was nice to have a nice roommate, but I heard of people who weren't as lucky. Some people had roommates who were too loud, dirty, or even had mental health problems that made it hard to sleep. It's never really yours, no matter how hard you try to make your room feel like home. It's hard to give up your dignity, and I didn't know how much of it I'd have to give up until I was there. People who knock on your door and don't always wait for an answer change you. So do people who talk to you like a patient instead of a person, and people whose daily lives are based on a schedule they didn't make. It feels like you're just another name on a list instead of being yourself. Before you decide to go to a nursing home, you should ask yourself if you are ready to give up the privacy and control you've had all your life. It's hard to get back once it's gone. Having the sixth regret of finding out it's harder to leave than you thought. I told myself it would only be for a short time when I first moved into the nursing home. I planned to try it out and see how things went. If I didn't like it, I could always leave. What I didn't know, though, was how hard it would be to get out next. It looks easy at first. I could just go home if I didn't like it. But things were different at home. My house was empty, and it was hard to take care of it since I was far away. There were already changes being made by my kids. They were selling things they thought I wouldn't need, and even thinking about renting out the house. They hesitated when I brought up the idea of going back. Are you sure you can handle things on your own? Wouldn't it be safer for you to stay? We only want what's best for you. And then there was the matter of getting older. I wasn't as strong as I used to be because I hadn't had to cook, clean, or even walk very far for months. I started to lose the independence I used to have, which made the thought of moving back home harder than I thought it would be. I wasn't sure I could live by myself, and that fear kept me from moving. I talked to other people who had the same thing happen. They were going to stay at the nursing home for a while, but it wasn't as easy to leave as they thought. It gets harder to get used to life outside the longer you stay. Some people even lost the choice when they had to sell their home or when the cost of care drained their savings. You couldn't go back. The part no one tells you is that moving in makes you feel like you can change your mind, but for most people it's not. The nursing home gradually takes over your life, and before you know it, the outside world starts to feel like a distant dream. Before you decide to go to a nursing home, you should ask yourself if you are ready for the fact that it might not be as easy to leave as you thought, because it can be harder than you think to leave once you get used to the costs, hassles, or feelings that come with it. Last thoughts. I don't regret getting older, but I do regret thinking that a nursing home was my only choice. When I walked in, I thought it would be safe, comfortable, and make my life better. What I found instead was a world that slowly took away my freedom, privacy, sense of self, and even my reason for living. Does that mean all nursing homes are bad? Not all the time. They really do need to give that much care to some people. But think carefully about what you're giving up before you move in. Life will never be the same after you move in. It would have been harder for me to leave my own home if I could go back in time. I would have looked into more ways to get help without giving up my freedom and made sure I really needed to be there before making such a big move. And if you have to make this choice, I hope you stop and ask yourself, is this really what's best for me? Or is it just what suits me right now? Because the routines, freedom, and choices you have now are valuable and should be kept for as long as possible. Thanks for being here today. Please get in touch with us. Tell us what you learned today and how you're going to use it in your life in the comments below. We care about what you think, so don't be shy about telling us. We feel very motivated and encouraged when we read your comments. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if you liked it and found it useful. Thanks for your support. It lets us keep making good content for you to learn from and be inspired by. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.